One word to describe that Boston Celtics championship? Well, flat.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios.
The man your man could smell.
Theo Dorsey is theoretically speaking.
But are you a different animal and the same beast?
What does that mean, Kobe Bryant?
Streaming live on YouTube. Here's Theo Dorsey.
I'm absolutely not a Boston Celtics hater the way that you think I am. I'm actually more of one than what you probably perceive. But they did it. The Boston Celtics did it in a playoffs that left much to be desired. The entertainment value really cut out, especially when we lost the stars early on, and then the guys like Anthony Edwards in the Western Conference Finals as well. And we had the Celtics and the Mavericks, and of course, there's some star play there, right? Like Jason Tatum carries some headlines. Luka Doncic is absolutely a guy that was in line to maybe be the future face of the league and maybe the best player in the NBA, but the Boston Celtics absolutely shut them out. They absolutely demoralized them. It really embarrassed Luka Doncic in Game 3, and we'll get to how he might have been feeling health-wise throughout this series. But there it is, the Celtics hanging banner number 18, the most ever in the National Basketball Association, breaking the tie with the Los Angeles Lakers. And on this edition of Theoretically Speaking on a Tuesday, in the wake of the Celtics winning, and I think if I'm checking my clock right, C-Cat, I think they should be pulling up to Miami any time now.
Yeah, mother, drive past us. Like, they are coming to our city.
Well, you know what? It's a good time to tell them that if they're trying to find a place to hang out and kick it, maybe watch the Stanley Cup Final tonight. Well, Theoretically Speaking on this Tuesday, brought to you by Duffy's Sports Grill. Tatum, you like 2-for-1 drinks?
Yeah.
How about 2-for-1 drinks all day, every day?
We did it.
Right? We did that. Well, you could do that and more. Maybe even enjoy some of the great starters like the Firecracker Shrimp. And on top of that, you got stuff like award-winning burgers, award-winning wings. It's one of the best places to go, not just to watch games, but to kick it with your friends, enjoy some great eats and vibes. I actually was at a Duffy Sports Grill this afternoon with some high school football coaches, a Duffy's 2-for-1, as we bring you the actual entertainment, and the guests put a character to the faces that you see leading the football programs out here. We did that at a Duffy Sports Grill because it's the best place to hang out. 80 or more televisions in every location. If you're looking for a spot to watch the Cats go crazy tonight, Duffy Sports Grill, Duffy'sMVP.com. At Duffy's, our game is always on. The Celtics game was on last night. I got to start off with a huge congratulations to let's start with the strippers wherever Paul Pierce is right now, right? Like, I know that Paul Pierce somewhere was just absolutely submerged, engulfed in strippers in celebration of the Lakers breaking that tie, or not the Lakers, the Celtics breaking that tie and winning the NBA title. So kudos to him and kudos to the strippers out there that he was probably kicking it with.
He does celebrate that title as if it's one of his own.
He does. Well, if you know about the 08 Boston Celtics, they've been hanging on to the lure of that championship as if they were a dynasty of some sorts, when really, in reality, C-Cat, since we've been alive, we've only witnessed 2 Boston Celtics championships.
Well, you wouldn't think that with how much it's discussed. You would not think that.
We've only literally witnessed 2 Boston Celtics championships since the 90s, since 1990 hit. Since the clock turned Michael Jordan in the NBA, we've seen 2. Count them, 2 championships from the Boston Celtics, and one of them happened last night. And most importantly, one of them was part of one of the most forgettable, not just playoffs, but NBA finals that I can really remember. And it ended and culminated in this. Now, I'm the type of guy, I always say this, I love to bask in other people's joy. I love to be able to see other people be lit up and fulfill their dreams. It's always a great thing. Even as I was rooting against the Michigan Wolverines in the national football, in the NCAA playoffs, the college football playoff, when I saw Harbaugh happy, lifting the trophy, feeling like a guy that accomplished his dreams, there was a part of me that was slightly happy for him. I had that same feeling in the pit of my soul as I was watching the Celtics finally get over that hump. Tatum and Brown, who had played in the most playoff games together of any duo in the NBA without winning a championship, they ended that last night. And then they put a microphone in front of Jason Tatum and gave him a chance. I believe it was Lisa Salters last night on ABC, putting the microphone in front of Jason Tatum, and he literally delivered the most contrived, corny, and dare I say embarrassing championship release, championship one-liner I've ever heard.
It's a surreal feeling. We did it. We did it!
I feel like dead air makes sense now. We should just sit here in silence for 10 seconds and let it soak on in.
Legitimately though, C-Cat, like when he did that, when he mustered up the strength in his body, and you could watch him if you watch the actual video of Tatum yelling out and belching out, "We did it!" Like, he looked up almost into the rafters to remember what he practiced this morning in the mirror. He looked for the words that he just said. He gave it a good pause. He turns back and he yells it. And I can't help but to feel like I felt bad for him in that moment, really. Like, here's a guy in Jason Tatum who, number one, he thought he was getting that Finals MVP at that moment.
You think?
Jason Tatum thought he was going to get that Finals MVP at that moment, and rightfully so. Though Jason Tatum is the best player on the Celtics, Jaylen Brown was the most impactful player in these NBA Finals, not just because of the offensive numbers, but the defense that he had on Luka Doncic, his full-court defense, his ability to make it tougher to get buckets. They held Luka Doncic under 30 points in 3 straight games. That had more to do with Drew Holiday and Jaylen Brown than it did Jason Tatum. But Tatum, if you noticed, over the last 6 or 7 minutes of that game in the fourth quarter, with the result no longer in question, was one of the main guys, again, heaving up shots. I believe I saw a graphic at one point. He had 11 points in the fourth quarter, and he was still going for some buckets, trying to pad those stats. He actually became the first player in NBA history to lead his team through the playoffs in points, rebounds, and assists, and not win Finals MVP after winning a championship.
So what does that tell you?
Jason Tatum, he had at least a bid, right? He had a case for Finals MVP, but what it tells me is that the media members in-house that had a vote, as well as the general public at large, recognized something that we've all been saying literally since the start of these playoffs. Jason Tatum might be the best player on the Celtics, but the most impactful one to winning has been Jaylen Brown through these playoffs. And I don't think that's even controversial to say at this point for a guy that won the Larry Bird Trophy for Eastern Conference Finals MVP, and now at 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists with lesser stats, we can still feel that impact of Jaylen Brown and the way that he dictates the flow of a game more than what Jason Tatum does. He rightfully earned the Bill Russell Award for the MVP of the Finals. I don't have any gripe with it at all. But C-Cat, for Jason Tatum, I do feel he felt a bit of that in his soul. There was a bit of emptiness that he didn't get that accolade to go along with the team championship. He said all of the right things afterwards. Do we have Tatum afterwards talking about? We don't have that. We have Jaylen Brown, though, who was on the podium, and when he got his Finals MVP trophy, he did recognize what he had to do, which was to show some love to his brother, Jason Tatum. The one thing I'll say, the Celtics have handled this about as good as you could want a team to handle this. When that disease of me starts creeping in and everybody starts reaching out for the credit and wanting to get the accolades and the shine, they've at least said the right things in public. Here's Jaylen Brown after he got the MVP trophy.
What does holding this trophy mean to you?
It was a full team effort, and I shared this with my brothers and my partner in crime, Jason Tatum. He was with me the whole way, so we shared it together.
I love it. So, again, it wasn't great. Right? Like, it wasn't a finals that we're going to ever remember or recall to. If there's any one moment from this NBA Finals that I'll hold on to, I'll be telling my kids about maybe at some point, it was how corny and whack the fake jubilation that Jason Tatum gave at the end of that game to Lisa Salters was. Like, again, can we hear it one more time?
It's a surreal feeling. We did it. We did it!
Yeah, like that right there is going to be how I forever remember the 2024 NBA Finals. Not that the Celtics passed up the Lakers for most championships in NBA history. Not that we watched Luka Doncic look like a petulant child in Game 3, crying for calls and being lackadaisical on defense, but Jason Tatum winning it and then belching that out. What stood out to you? What one word would you use to describe these NBA Finals where the Boston Celtics win it in 5, a gentleman's sweep over the Dallas Mavericks? 888-760-3776, 888-760-3776. I say flat. And dare I say their celebration was embarrassing, including when you have a guy like Jason Tatum letting another man pour that champagne all over his face. All right? Yeah, we saw you, Jason. We saw you. A keen eye on that.
Guy can't get a little silly?
I mean, hey, have your fun. But just, control your own champagne bottle. And don't be, it just looked a little worse for him. It looked bad for him, almost as bad as that belching out of "we did it" that was obviously contrived by him. What one word would you use to describe these NBA Finals? Hit us up on the Baptist Health Hotline. Are you experiencing foot and ankle pain and need to see an expert in the field? Baptist Health Orthopedic Care has a team of foot and ankle orthopedic surgeons and specialists who are regarded as leaders in their specialty. Visit baptisthealth.net/ortho to learn more today. Baptist Health Orthopedic Care combines its resources of experienced physicians and leading-edge treatments and technology to provide advanced orthopedic, foot and ankle, joint replacement, spine, and sports medicine care. Visit baptisthealth.net/ortho for more information today. Baptist Health Orthopedic Care has offices conveniently located in Palm Beach County through the Florida Keys. Learn more by visiting baptisthealth.net/ortho. C-Cat, I know you were probably inextricably bored. You were glued to the game, watching it because you knew that this was going to be the night that the Celtics would be crowned like we all did. We both picked them in our playoff payoff.
Yeah.
Not only to win, but to cover the 6.5 points because it was obvious the Mavericks were going to roll over and let them have it at TD Garden. But what one word would you use to describe the past 2 months, the NBA playoffs that culminated in the NBA Finals where the Celtics win it in 5 games?
You said flat. The first word that came to my mind initially was yawn. Like, I just did not care. I could forget this tomorrow. And that's what the word I'm going to use is. It's forgetful. Like, I will not remember this series after tomorrow. This might as well have never happened.
And rightfully so, because as great as it is that a team like the Celtics were in all of these Eastern Conference Finals. 2 years ago, they were in the NBA Finals, up 2-1 on the Warriors with a chance to win it. It just feels very anticlimactic. And kudos to Brad Stevens. Kudos to the Los Angeles Lakers for passing up on Jaylen Brown in the 2016 draft and drafting Brandon Ingram. And then in 2017, the next year, drafting Lonzo Ball over Jason Tatum. Kudos to the Lakers for helping your rivals beat you in the climb for championships in the NBA, but also kudos to those Miami Heat. And I got to give a big shout out to my favorite team, the Miami Heat, who inspired this Celtics championship run, because if it wasn't for last year and really all of these years of Jimmy Butler and this crew haunting that Celtics teams, Brad Stevens wouldn't have been up in the GM's office working and retooling that roster. For them to give up Marcus Smart, for them to give up on a guy that literally painted his hair green and trade him off, the heart and soul of your squad, to go out and retool your roster because you knew you couldn't get through that East without bringing in Kristaps Porzingis and bringing in Jrue Holiday. Like, those were masterful moves by Brad Stevens. Those moves also inspired by the Miami Heat, where, again, the Celtics, maybe they're coming to Miami to celebrate their championship because also it's just 2 days out from Father's Day. Maybe they're trying to give a late Father's Day present to the team that's won 3 championships since 1990 and not just a lousy 2. A team that's known for winning more championships than the Celtics and the Heat combined since the 90s, well, that's the Kaiser University Seahawks. I mean, obviously it's a lot more sports, but 22 national championships. 22. Deuce. From the Kaiser Seahawks out there at the flagship campus of Kaiser University here in West Palm Beach. And also they have 3 straight NAIA women's swimming and diving titles. And they had their first national championship on the gridiron, the football squad. Now coached by Miles Russ, they're going to be trying to run that thing back this fall. And to keep up with the Kaiser Seahawks football team as well as the rest of the athletics, go to Kaiser Seahawks Athletics website, which is kuseahawks.com. kuseahawks.com for all the latest on what they're doing out there to hashtag defend the beach. Also, shout out to Kaiser because we'll have our Kaiser 7-on-7 and girls flag football game there June 29th. That's going to be a fun Saturday here for us and for the local squads out here. The Panthers have a chance to seal up the Stanley Cup final tonight. The Florida Panthers can do it on their home ice, just like the Boston Celtics did last night at TD Garden. Now, they did have a bit of a funny thing they have done ahead of time at Emirates Bank Stadium. They have left the towels on the seats for fans, and they're leaning in on a joke about South Florida fandom. I'll tell you what's on their towels, their rally towels for the Rat Pack. And we have Steve Policiner, Uncle Steve, pulling up for the get around. When we come back, theoretically speaking, on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney